our limitation. I've read about many mighty men that rose in the nations of the world. There's no story that I've read about that comes anywhere near what happened through that man, Apostle Joseph Babalola. Near, no story. But you see, it wasn't documented, so we believe it never happened. A man that during praise and worship, as they are singing praise and like we just did, he levitates. When you see that Western Nigeria received the gospel, most of us don't know what it means. It was when I was to marry my wife, they were based in Ile-Ife. So I used to go to Ile-Ife to see the family and stuff like that until we got married. And when we now got married, I was working in Lagos, so I was going to visit my in-laws once and again. That was when I discovered what was in that city. Now, these people have advanced in their knowledge of divination to a level of accuracy. The lens of divination has been adjusted to accommodate accuracy. What the Ifa priest prophesies comes to pass. In fact, most of our tribes are settled where they are settled today because of divination. And there was no stronger tribe in Nigeria today in divination than our brothers from the West. But there was a revival that overcame that foundation. And whether you like it or not, there is a prophetic spirit that is hanging over people from Western Nigeria. It's not natural. It came through the witness of a man. During praise, he doesn't want to raise the dead. He's just worshiping God, and he sees that angels will lift him up. Are you there? So I have a chronicle in my library, a very fat chronicle. Somebody took time to put the details of that man's life together, and they sent me a copy. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know who sent it, but it's in my library. None of the things you read in God's generals comes close to what God did through that man. Are you talking about people that were raised from the dead? That's lunch box issues. Are you talking about healing sicknesses? In fact, the man operated in healing to a point that he became tired of praying for the sick. And he went and prayed over a little stream that was in his neighborhood. And people were going into the stream for healing. And how many years, 20-something years after he died, a madman still entered that stream and came back healed. The will of God, the dimensions of the expectations of God concerning the potential of the church in this nation was eclipsed by darkness. And what we have today in its best is a state of compromise. And this state of compromise was occasioned by the violation of several principles that are critical to maintaining the civilizations that come from God. Are you still with me? Now, this is the Antichrist strategy. He said they went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. So you are going to see statements like from us, of us, with us. Are you following? He said, if they were of the same substance, if we were homogeneous, the proof of the fact that we're of the same stock would have been that they would have continued with us. But they went out from us. But they went out that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us. So if the devil wants to strangle that which God is doing, the first ground of compromise he will sell to us is to violate the principle of separation. Are you still with me? Okay. Now that you are coming gradually, let me also come gradually. Can we do Exodus chapter 12 from verse 33 to 38? You will see one of the major challenges of the church in the wilderness. I hope you know when I say the church in the wilderness, you know what I mean. When Brother Stephen was giving his recap on the move of God that had been captured in the nation of Israel, when he came to Moses, no, you are not following. Okay, so please give me Acts. Before we go to Exodus, can we do Acts chapter 7, verse 37 and 38? Let me establish. Meanwhile, we're going to do, next year, we'll do a teaching, because I'm developing it already, the church in the wilderness. By the time we finish that teaching from start to finish, your eyes, you have new eyes and new lenses. If you visit a place that they call a church and it is not a church, you will know. Yes, that's the reason for that teaching. If you lose your capacity for discernment, in the name of church, you will serve devils. Because the principle of separation has been compromised. So what we have is no longer homogeneous, it is heterogeneous. So this is Stephen trying to give us an insight into the person and the ministry of Moses. He said, this is that Moses which said unto the children of Israel, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me. Him shall ye hear. Verse 38. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness, and with the angel which spake to him in Mount Sinai, with our fathers who received the lively oracles to give unto us. So Moses was considered as the shepherd of the church in the wilderness. The church in the wilderness journeyed from the land of captivity into the land of promise. The church in the wilderness stopped 42 times in the journey. Are you there? So there were 42 stations that the church stopped. And by the time you go to the book of Matthew, you are going to see in the book of Matthew, when the generations of ancestors leading to Christ was captured in the book of Matthew, you are going to see that it was 42 generations, which is consistent with the 42 stations that Israel stopped when they were transiting from the house of bondage into the house of promise. So if we study the church in the wilderness accurately, you will see a prophetic journey of the church of Jesus in every age. In fact, you can even trace and track where the American church is in that journey. You can trace and track where the Ghanaian church is on that journey. So what I want to do now is to show you that even in the church in the wilderness, Satan had already pioneered this principle of removing separation from the advancement, so that anything that God gets at the end of the day will be a compromised position. And the glory of God in its entirety and fullness will not be able to rest on that civilization because it doesn't look like the arrangement that is established in the heavens. Meanwhile, the idea of God is that thy will be done on earth the same way it is done in heaven. Exodus chapter 12, verse 33. Then you will see what Satan did. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, we be all dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, and their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Sukkot, about 600,000 on foot that were men beside children. Verse 38. Can you see that? And a mixed multitude went also up with them, and flocks and herds and very much cattle. The guys were moving. What Satan did was that he smuggled. Oh my God, you are not following me. You are not here. I've not started striking the matters. They are matters. There are obvious matters in the landscape of the church of our day that I want to open your eyes to. But we need to start with scripture so that you will not say it's an invention of my own strategy, an invention of my own thinking. I had what I wanted to say before I came and tried to look for scriptures to align with. The Bible is not capable of private interpretation. It's a book of one author and many writers. And that's why the principle of witness must be satisfied in bringing out a position of truth. Are you there? A mixed multitude. Satan now arranged a mixed multitude. This mixed multitude, they have a different God. They have different ways. They have different approaches to life. They have different philosophies. This mixed multitude joined themselves to the people that God was delivering to set up a nation that was a nation under God, so that God's authority in his fullest extent. In order to forestall this, why no one was watching, a mixed multitude also say, we are delivered. And they followed them. Numbers, the devil will always attack. The people complained, it displeased the Lord, and the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burned among them and consumed them that were in the uttermost part of the camp. And the people cried unto Moses, and Moses prayed unto the Lord, and the fire was quenched. Can you see God fighting against his people? And he called the name, and the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting. The engineer of that campaign is a little fraction of the population is a mixed multitude.